Hello, everybody. Welcome back, Master Archivist Analysis. My name is Tima, also known as the Master Archivist, and today we are here to do Skeleton Crew Episode 5. So before we get into it, I just want to say thank you everyone who's watched the last couple of videos. Thank you so much for the support. These videos would have been out a lot sooner. Unfortunately, I did have a lung infection. I was sick most of December and had a lung infection all of January, and fully recovered. We're back. So over the next month or so, we're going to be catching up on all the episodes that we missed. Also, the 2025 video will be coming out soon, so we'll be able to talk about what's coming up, what we're looking forward to. And with that being said, thank you so much again for the patience and support. Let's get into Skeleton Crew Episode 5.
This is a transmission from the archives.
This has to be, I think, one of my favorite episodes. It's called You Have a Lot to Learn About Pirates. And I think it kind of has everything in terms of what I'm looking for in the series. To start off with this episode, we pick up back at Atten, basically our secondary plot here, of the parents trying to figure out how to get their kids back, how to basically go over what I call like Adan's Big Brother system. I mentioned that in one of my last couple of videos, that there's a Big Brother feel to this. Like there's always the higher ups watching. Despite though Fern's mom is part of the administration, she still keeps this fear to her about all these security droids too. It's a very reasonable fear, though, as we learn through this episode. Well, as Wim's dad is working with Neil's mom to basically hack the system to get a communication out past the barrier, one of these security droids do end up taking Wim's father to Fern's mom. There's so many connections here. I don't have the character list name in front of me. But a long connection there. Basically, Fern's mom, her name is Farah. There it is. Just like Fern, goes to override security droid and wipe its memory of anything of this incident. So never making any higher up past her. Obviously, she has some skin in the game here because her daughter is also out on the same endeavor. And from that, you also get to see, I guess, where Fern's learned this from is overriding this droid. And I always like those little connections. It's the idea of like, your kid is not too far off from you. Or they always say like your child's destined to become you in a way. So it looks like to some degree, even though being part of the great work, I would say Fern's mom, Farah, has some type of rebellious nature to her, just like her daughter. And of course, Fern keeping that a secret, still best in her class and all. It's one of those things that I appreciate when it comes to the character writing in this show. Still, out of everything we watched 2025, and a lot of things in the more recent Star Wars era, outside the animation, this is definitely my favorite. I think it just had a great energy to the show. But I digress. Based off the last episode, which had the Skeleton Crew basically amidst a war zone, SM-33 ended up getting cooked by Jod. SM-33 tried to attack the kids per the last captain's orders if they were to look into investigate at Aden any further. So they did acquire the coordinates. They almost got the coordinates to Aden, but per the captain's last orders, if they were to investigate it further, SM-33 was made to terminate them, for lack of better words, because, let's say within the YouTube confines here. So Jod ends up completely, protecting the kids through that whole episode, settling disputes on this planet, taking care of SM-33. This then leads the Skeleton Crew to repurpose SM-33, or not repurpose, basically reboot him to continue asking questions. But since that old captain is no longer relevant, I guess, to SM-33, he does this throughout the whole show, always just goes back to taking orders again, which is so funny to me because no matter what happens, he's a droid. He's defined strictly by his programming, his rules. He follows the pirate code effortlessly. So now he's back to obeying Fern, which we then start to get some more info on SM-33. And yeah, like I said, through all these episodes, everyone gets enough time for their backstory. Very well paced. We find out SM-33 belongs to a famed pirate, Tak Renaud, which we see the lovely pirate's tales from SM-33. We learn Tak Renaud, famous pirate, talking tons of bounties. His big thing was going after At-Atten. And through this endeavor, there tried to be a mutiny, and he ended up being taken out by his concubine, which led to, this is going to go down as fighting for second place for my favorite scene, I have to say, when the kids joke, because they say concubine, you can check the live reaction for the video. I was taken aback by that, couldn't believe, I was like, yo, his what? And then, of course, the kids made the same joke, because Jod was laughing, and the kid's like, what's a concubine? He's like, yeah, never mind. And it's little things really make me laugh. So then we end up hearing more about the treasures of At-At, and that was his desire. As we can see to some degree, I mean, he made it there, but I guess he didn't go much further. Which we do actually see Jod take the knife that Tak Renaud was stabbed with, and he actually holds on to it throughout this episode. So as they're going here, because now they're off to Skull Ridge Mountain, which was turned to a beautiful luxury resort. As they're on their way there, you learn that is SM-33's place of assembly. Wim ends up leaving. You know, he's pretty much torn up by this adventure. It's a little overwhelming, you know. And Jod, yet again, and I mentioned this in one of the last 2 episodes, it's interesting to me, Jod always uses his force abilities 9 times out of 10 through this show, as of this far, basically just to really cheer up the kids, give them that little, I don't think he's intentionally doing it, but he is inspiring them to a degree, especially here, you know, as Wim's crying, he used the force to, you know, lift up his data pad back to him, and, you know, Wim's like, oh, if you're not a Jedi, then, like, how could you do that? And I love the little groundwork, especially given the end of the episode, that there may be more to Jod than we're really, you know, led on to believe. And of course, that's through this entire show, is there's all these like little things, and even towards the end, like, you know, I'll talk about it coming up to the final episode. I still don't understand this guy. Like, when a lot of people are saying like this is the definition of like a gray Jedi, you know, like he's willing to plunder, he's willing to kill if he has to. It's insane, you know, but also at the same point, you know, like he took some of those credits from Wim in the last episode, and he, you know, he paid off all the armies, so there wouldn't have to be bloodshed. You know, it's crazy. One of the things Jod goes and says when he's helping Wim is, you know, he's explaining that, you know, Wim has these attachments and it's not needed right now. And also that your focus determines your reality. You know, and it's all these little Jedi sayings. You know, we saw like Qui-Gon, Yoda, all these little things. These little Jedi lessons, and it's been brought up time and time again. And it's so tough because the Jedi are not into motion, you know, things to distract someone from the real focus, you know, becoming closer in the Force. But you can always see how these little things could easily lead someone down a darker path. And for someone, in the case of Jod, I understand that. I see that kind of downward spiral, how easy that could be, especially given these lessons, which should be more enlightening. You know, it causes more of a separation in humanity as a search for a connection to spirituality. That makes sense. You become less humane amongst people, you know. Now the Jedi are caring, you know, they're there to be helping people, but in a way you then stop connecting with people as you're trying to, I mean, as a Jedi, you know, you become one with the Force. You're more focused on the next step, I would say. So it's a little blinding. I kind of see how someone could turn to the dark side given that idea. Phenomenal. I like the little add to it. You see that Jod does, of course, have some Jedi training under his belt, which does get expanded slightly upon towards the end of the series, but we'll talk about that coming up. But from there, they end up landing here on the Skull Mountain Resort. They don't allow children on there. That's one of the things they explain first and foremost. So he has the kids disguised as wise elders, since they weren't willing to stay on the ship. Like Jod says, they're from the Bractrix system. Double check, not real system in the books that I have. I have a pretty decently updated galaxy map, so Something I look forward to maybe trying to track down at a later time. Anyway, so I mentioned the Bachelor system. Yeah, I can't get over the fact that SM33's whole problem since landing here, Lanuba is the name of the planet, Lanuba. Basically, they gentrified the whole planet. That's what it boils down to. They got a wonderful spa, which SM33 mentions that they used to melt people in acid in those. So, yeah, they really have turned this community around, I'll be honest. Jod gets as I mentioned, the attack Renaud dagger. I like he gets that kind of New Vegas holdout weapon, for everyone who's played Fallout New Vegas. In the form of a legendary weapon, he's got Tox Blade on him. Amazing. Little quips, SM33 I think definitely become one of my favorite characters through this entire show. One of my favorite lines I got here written down is, you can't play shanty on the hop. One of my favorites. I would like to disprove that. I don't have anything. I don't own a harp. I'm willing to dispute that if there's any harp players listening. I think we get together. This is a good Tima music plug. You can check out my other channel. I'll put something here. Definitely, I think we should get together, try to do Star Wars sea shanty harps. Oh, I mentioned here the slimy pirate bribes that he's doing here, and I love this area, but, Jod has made his way through the galaxy, and money has guided him along the whole way. I gotta say, that is probably one of my favorite things here, is the constant, credit here, credit here, credit here, just to get what he needs. And then we run into one of my favorite, side characters, which they've done this before, in Mando. They had, Fennec Shen, and then they, expanded upon it. I really hope we see Pocket, which we get introduced here. If I am correct, she voices is it Brave? I don't know the character's name in Brave. I haven't seen that movie. So she voiced a character in Brave, but I think phenomenal character design. Apparently used to work doing guild work. Now she's a private bounty hunter who is very familiar with Jod's past. So very interested to see how that develops through this episode, but I hope to see more of this character coming up. Yeah, so she relates back to Brutus, basically that now Jod is here with these kids. Also tells kids not to trust Jod. Common trend through this episode. We're going to get a couple more characters saying not to trust them. One of the things is they have to separate, and I love when they're in the hotel room, they're arguing about, because the kids want to go to the buffet, they want to do this. The kids want to go to the buffet, they want to do this. And Jod's like, do you not understand the amount of trouble we're in? It's one of those things. It's fun in the show when the kids can be kids, and it looks like everyone's having fun in the show because now the kids are revealed to be kids. They try to disguise them as wise elders again. It's weird that a lot of them aren't wearing disguises, so they could walk around openly around these spas, no problem. Just when the guard decides to see them is when the action kind of starts. Kind of things happening more out of convenience for this part of the episode. But because now kind of get towards the end of the episode here, so Pocket ends up calling Brutus. The pirates come in, invade the entire spa. Pretty good. Got a pretty good team. That leads a giant chase scene through these catacombs, because Fern and Wim were able to get this giant kraken. I gotta remember what he's called. Cathalop? This just giant kraken-like creature. Love the stories from the kids. He helps them into basically what's the Tak Renaud's old hideout, and they end up coming across an acid pit, and it was this is my favorite scene. It says basically that they have to do the greatest sacrifice, and the kids are just well, someone has to die. That's the greatest sacrifice. And Jod has one credit left. He's and that's where the title comes from. Still have a lot to learn about pirates. He just throws a credit right down into this little acid pool, and it all just starts to go down the drain. So the kids are able to get across. And that is one of my favorite things through this episode. And it's just something about it. It's the tension to the scene. The kids are well, I'll make the sacrifice. No, don't, And then Jod's no, money. Because they go, what do pirates value more than life is money. And it just the way it sticks to, your typical pirate idea through this. I find that extremely fun. Jod being the seasoned pirate that he is. It just really makes such a great time watching this. But then, almost as a counterpoint to that, because they end up going into this essentially a vault full of all this gold and rare items. Jod then, as the pirate crew's following behind them, trying to capture them, you don't get to see it, of course, thankfully. Um, but Jod has basically acid rain down to them to refill the chamber. You just hear their screams and silence. Always this show is good with the counter contrast when it comes to pirates and the rest of the show. Anything with pirates, gruesome. Anything else, the kid, fine. It's more like the 80s coming of age film. It's just insane play. And then I'm going to go, these are the tougher scenes to pick which one was my favorite. Because then the follow up here is Jod, now knowing the coordinates to get to At-Aten, has now invoked his right to fight the captain to the death because he needs SM-33, so it involves him being the captain. And just crazy, the tension in that scene, because, you've seen what Jod's done. He literally just killed an entire crew with acid, didn't even blink. And that part of it, now he goes to fight Fern, he's just like, just submit. Like, just submit. That's insane to me. Like I said, the tension too was crazy. The kids are screaming, asking him not to kill them, and he's like, I don't want to, but like, will. It's insane, and it's crazy scene. And then Wim, to protect his friend, he finds a lightsaber and activates it. And one of those things I always thought about when it comes to lightsabers, there's so much to the training that I'm still learning to understand. I should actually have some texts, some old Jedi texts I should actually review. Probably answer a lot more of my questions. I like how when he activates it, the blade is towards the floor and it just bounces out of his hand. Which then Jod takes the lightsaber. I find that pretty cool. I kind of want to know more about this lightsaber now. You got to give him attempt. Good credit for the attempt at least. They did find a trap door earlier in this room. They end up taking that to slide away to prevent from being, I don't even know, killed or captured by Jod at this point. And I put a note here, and I just basically like, to be honest, I don't know if Jod would kill the kids. I say probably, because he did kill his pirates with acid moments earlier, but he does have that caring sense to him through all these other episodes. Even there, when he's like, hey, look, I'm only doing this because I need this droid. Just submit, and we can move on. I feel like this is the closest that Jod came to probably snapping when it comes to the whole, let's say if he's even following Jedi code, or even just decent moral codes. I think this is probably the closest. Which, if it wasn't for Wim, I genuinely just don't even know what would happen, because some of the later episodes we see too, I'm like, I can never figure this guy out. So with that being said, let's hit my new favorite section. It's going to be favorite character and favorite part of the episode, like favorite scene. I will have to go, favorite character is going to be SM-33, I think will be my pick. I think he had a lot of great lines through this, especially from the last episode. He goes from nearly killing kids, still trying to kill a couple people. They put a restraint bolt on him, but you got a little backstory with them. I do like the pirate lore. I've tried doing a lot of research on this since Skeleton Crew came out. I've been really invested in the whole Star Wars pirates. A lot of great pirates, and adding this onto that, Tack Renard and his legacy, I think that's pretty cool. I want to see hopefully that expanded going on. I'd like to see more of the pirates. I have to go favorite scene. I know I said there would be like 3 of them. As much as the following scene was so palpable, I really think them in the chamber saying the whole, you have a lot to learn about pirates, besides being the namesake of the episode, I think has to be one of my favorites. I just think it's got a great contrast to it, but at the same time, I just like how it, yet again, it goes into the pirate headspace, because I believe watching live, I said the same thing. I'm like, oh man, they gotta sacrifice someone. I'm thinking it would be like a droid or something. I don't know, what one may view as like a lesser form. And then no, it's credits. Because what do pirates value more than life? Money. And that is really the basis of a lot of this show, or a lot of the pirate stuff even. Tack Renard, so obsessed with money, and obviously his crew, the crew took his life, and he took them down with him when the ship crashed on Manhattan because of his only pursuit of money. all those pirates that were coming after them. They're after them because of Jod, but also because of the money. So all this stuff, and look at this chamber of Tack Reynolds, is this dusty, worn down place. Now tucked under a giant luxury spa, but just all that in the pursuit of money. Phenomenal. Like, I think that in the overall story, I think is great. Don't get me wrong. The following scene with Jod goes to speak to the overall character. We're episode 5. There's only 8 episodes. That becoming that counterpoint, to me, is one of the best. So that being said, this is my kind of little podcast form of Skeleton Crew episode 5 called You Have a Lot to Learn About Pirates. Hope everyone enjoyed it. If you liked the video, go check out the other ones. We're going to be doing Master Archive stuff in more of this format, just due to the reason of time. I don't have an editor. Everything is done by myself. I haven't had time. I'm working on bigger videos once I finish with Skeleton Crew here. I would like to get back to actual original reviews. There's a lot of shows I like to watch, you guys. And the way I'm kind of swinging this channel right now is I'm going to focus on, outside of these Star Wars episodes, I'm going to start focusing more on the things that I want to research and share. I usually have just been doing these Star Wars episodes, but I really would like to dive more into things because I'm always learning more about the Star Wars universe, and I think it has room for a lot of content to talk about. Great people, like Generation Tech, Eckhart's Ladder. They make a lot of very, in-depth videos. I like to do that with a lot of, I do have a pretty extensive collection of, old Star Wars books I'd like to talk about, go through, share them with you guys, and kind of go from there. So with that being said, thanks so much for tuning in. If you liked the video, give a thumbs up. Leave a comment. Let me know what your favorite character and scene was. Let me know your favorite part of the episode or what you're liking with Skeleton Crew. And this is coming out. It's wrapped up in, I think, a week or so ago, or when I'm recording this. So it will be out, hopefully, it's now March, so hopefully during this month. There's a lot to edit. And yeah, we'll go from there. So with that being said, thanks so much, and until next time, may the Force be with you.